Welcome to Campfire Stories, a place where you'll find stories of the strange, unusual, and terrifying. Please subscribe to support the channel. Okay, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe not. One thing I do know is, I am not kidding you. When I tell you this story about what happened to me tonight when I was outside on my porch just staring up into the sky, I can tell you it scared the living crap out of me. I have never seen anything like it in my life. So here's my story. I was outside on my porch. My neighbors were setting off fireworks tonight. So I watched them for a while, enjoying the loud booms and the colorful light show that the fireworks put off. My dog Buddy barked a few times. He was staring up towards the direction of the fireworks, so I thought he was just barking at them. What seemed a little strange was, Buddy seemed a bit uneasy. It just felt a little off. I could tell he was upset about something. I just thought it was because the fireworks were so loud. I brushed it off, thinking to myself, that's just Buddy. I mumbled. I turned around to keep watching the fireworks. Buddy started again. "Damn it, Buddy, just shut up," I yelled. He just kept on barking and growling in the direction of the fireworks. It was as if he didn't even hear me. He just kept barking. The sound must be too loud, I mumbled to myself. Enough was enough. I would put him in the house. I live in a duplex in the woods, and I have someone who lives in the apartment next to me. I'm sure she doesn't want to hear Buddy barking, along with loud booming from the neighbor's fireworks across the field. I grabbed Buddy by the collar and gently led him into the house. I slid the sliding door shut behind him. Good thing the walls are sound resistant, because he just continued barking and barking and barking. After the fireworks had stopped, I decided to open the door and let Buddy back out. It was such a nice night. It was perfect for sitting on the porch and staring up into the stars. I love the stars. You know how sometimes you just look at a small star moving across the sky? They're just satellites, but Elena, my daughter, loves to joke around. She would always say, "Dad, look, it's UFO!" I would always chuckle and say, "Oh no, we're going to get abducted." Now here's where it gets strange. I'm enjoying the sparkling stars when I hear some kind of rustling noise coming from the branches up in the trees. I thought it was just a squirrel at first, so I paid no mind to it, keeping a mental note of what I heard. I thought maybe it was a bird, squirrel, or something. I leaned back in my chair and continued staring up, the crickets chirping in the distance. Such a soothing sound, I thought. There it was again. What the hell is that? I caught myself saying out loud. I could have sworn I saw something moving on this one tree branch. My eyes must be playing tricks on me. Tried to rationalize. Now staring intently, paying a little more attention. Whatever it was that I thought I saw, it definitely wasn't a squirrel or bird. It looked as if the leaves were blowing in the wind. Then chills ran up my spine as I realized that all the other branches and leaves were not moving at all. That's strange. I thought I'm watching this branch move as if the wind was blowing 100 miles an hour. How is it that all the other branches are staying still if the wind is blowing? How can it be that just one branch blowing in the wind? How is it possible? To my surprise, the branch stops moving. Moments later, the next branch slightly starts doing the same thing, moving around as if the wind was blowing it. The other branch is still completely still. I'm just staring at this branch, completely confused, trying to come up with a logical explanation. I see something that I cannot explain. Now, the story is going to get a hell of a lot stranger. I'm looking up at this branch frantically when I see this weird shadow-looking thing. It was crouching on the branch. I couldn't see any features. The only thing I could see was an outline of some humanoid shadow creature. I could barely see through it. When it would stop moving, the thing would almost disappear into the branches itself as if it was camouflaging itself. As it jumped from branch to branch, I saw the shape of it clearly. It wasn't very big. It was just about the size of my dog, Buddy. It had arms, was hunched over and staring right at me. I couldn't see its eyes, but I could tell you. Well, I could just feel it. This shadow figure was just that, a shadow. There's no eyes, no features, nothing. Just this shape. Let me challenge you to close your eyes and imagine a person standing in front of you. He's only 3 feet tall. Now imagine him bending down with his hands flat on the ground, his back arched, his head's up, and he's staring right at you. The scariest part is, you can't see his eyes, his mouth, or nose. You just feel him staring at you. I'm not crazy, and I like to think of myself as a logical man. I usually just brush things off. I always try to come up with a logical explanation, but what I'm seeing was something I could not explain. My heart starts pounding so hard that I thought it was going to beat right out of my chest. I couldn't move. I was just stuck in my tracks with fear. All I could do is just stare as it jumped from one branch to the next, then to the next, getting closer and closer with every move. As it got closer, I could make out the shape a little better.
Is that a monkey? Do monkeys,
monkeys aren't in Maine, right, Buddy? I'm talking to Buddy, my dog, as if he's going to answer me back. Don't judge me. Fear does weird things to people, okay? So it looked almost like a monkey, but remember, all I could see was the shape of it. I got that feeling that I was being watched. Probably because I was. What I mean is, I knew I was being watched. But that feeling of being watched was intensified. It made me feel extremely uneasy. I don't scare easy, but I will tell you I was extremely scared at this moment. Staring at this thing in the trees, moving closer, closer. What scared me the most was that I was not able to see features and how it camouflaged itself in the darkness. The whole unknowing always scares me. At least that was the feeling I was getting as it was getting closer.
Buddy, get back in the house!
I said in a shaky-ass voice while backing up slowly. My hand reached back to try to feel for the door handle. Once my hand found the handle, I slid the door open, slowly backing in, making sure not to take my eyes off this creature.
Buddy, get in the house! Come in now!
I yell so the dog can hear me. Buddy ignored me and continued barking in the direction of the shadow thing.
He sees it too!
I realized. At this moment, fear washed over me. My knees started to go weak. I got this weird, jittery, tingling feeling through my body and my gut twisted in fear. The hairs on the back of my neck started to rise. Chills went down my spine. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my head. You know that feeling you get when you're alone in a basement or in a cemetery? It's as if something is behind you and it's about to grab you at any moment. That feeling when you're running away from something. You don't want to turn around to look because it might slow you down. You know that feeling you get? That's the feeling that went through my body at that moment. I grabbed Buddy by his collar and yanked him inside quickly. I reached for my door handle, grabbed it, then slammed it shut. I slammed it so hard that I thought I broke the glass. I locked the door. I ran to my couch and sat there in silence listening. I could hear every breath that I took, every beat of my heart, every tiny movement I made. Time seemed to slow down. After what felt like forever, but it could have been no more than a few minutes, I started to calm down a little and came to the realization how silly I was acting.
Maybe I was just seeing things?
I said to myself. I shook my head at how stupid I was acting. I let out a little giggle as I started to stand up off the couch. I got about halfway to my feet when I heard it, aloud, as something landed on my porch. That sense of relief that I was feeling drained away like a fine wine being emptied out.
Thank God I locked my door.
I said. However, I was almost expecting the door to open somehow. Even though I knew I locked the door, anxiety took over. I stared at the sliding glass doors expecting to see something, but I couldn't see anything through the glass. The lights in the house were reflecting off the glass. I had to see if there was something out there and what it looked like. So reluctantly and very slowly, I got up and tiptoed over to the light switch. If I turned off the lights, I could see the porch better. Once at the light, hesitation, I built up the courage, taking a deep breath and the lights go out. I was swallowed by the darkness now. My eyes not yet adjusted. Slowly, I begin to see clearly. The moonlight cutting through the darkness, illuminating my porch.
Holy sh...
I gasped in shock.
What the...
I screamed silently in my mind. I could barely speak. Was I really seeing what I was seeing? I could no longer brush this off as my eyes were playing tricks on me. I'm totally taken back with shock and horror. Creature is now up against the glass of my door, trying to get a better look inside. How is it possible that I am unable to see any of its facial features? I stood there with my knees buckling, not saying a word, trying not to move an inch, holding my breath, praying. I hope that Buddy won't see this thing and start barking. I just stand there trembling a little, telling myself, "Don't move, Mikey. Don't move." My eyes opening wide as I watched this thing lower its hand from its head, reaching down slowly as if taunting me, grabbing the door handle and yanking. I screamed like a little girl when I heard the loud thud as it tried to pull it open. Buddy charged the door fiercely, the hair on his back sticking up like a mohawk. I couldn't yell for him to stop. I couldn't grab him. I couldn't do anything. I just stood there, stuck in place, in terror. The creature pulled on the door over and over again, with each pull cringing, expecting the lock to give away. My heartbeat matched each try, making a loud boom, boom, boom. Thankfully, the lock held, and the creature was unsuccessful in getting in. I reached up to my face as I felt a small tear trickle down my cheek. I didn't even realize that I was crying. I was crying for the first time in a very long time. I'm a pretty tough guy, you see, but this thing scared me. I have seen and been through a lot in my life, and nothing has ever scared me to tears until this day. In that moment, right then, I can promise that nothing will ever scare me as much as this did. The creature who was about to enter my home, possibly kill me, my dog, or God knows what. After what seemed like an eternity, the creature stopped pulling on the door, dropped its hands to its side, and just stared. I couldn't tell if it was staring at its own reflection or if it could see through the glass at me. After a few moments of staring, to my relief, it turned, slowly, and walked down the stairs. I could hear every footstep on each step. Thump, thump, I stood where I was, not moving for several minutes. I didn't know if the creature was going to look for a new window to get in, break through a window, or try the front door. So I just waited. What I do know is, I lost track of time and how long I stood by that light switch. I was afraid to move. I was afraid that it was somehow tricking me into believing he was gone, so that I might make a mistake and go back outside or something. When I finally got the courage to turn back on the lights, I sat on my couch in silence, eventually dozing off. When I awoke in the morning, I wanted to investigate outside. I checked my steps, my sliding glass door for any signs that this was real. Unfortunately, to my horror, the evidence of its existence was there. On the glass, there was a small smudge where the creature had cupped its hands over its eyes so it could look in. My stomach sank as I realized that the nightmare had happened was 100% real. I don't know what to believe the thing was, but I hope that I will never see it again. I believe these things have been lurking in the shadows all this time. No one has ever seen them. I think they are masters of blending into the darkness. I think, when it realized I had noticed it, it felt threatened. It had been seen. I mean, think about it. Who looks up into the trees at night looking for a creature in the darkness? They're hiding in plain sight. They're lurking in the shadows. So next time you're outside in the darkness, and there are woods or trees around you, look up and see if you can see what I have seen. Better yet, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you won't be as lucky as I was.